Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy!
Find out life's this game of pennies.
Oh, you guys know we only have a 40% runner. Hello? 40% is a fucking killing.
We've been compliant for too long. It's time we go to war.
I don't have a Roth.
Hugh knows so much about the market that his brain doesn't have enough room for grammar.
Hey, who told me about IDEX? It's going up a shit ton now.
Rob, 4%, baby. No way. 4 fucking percent.
You asked the exact same question with 2 words different.
It's like, man, I just got dick whipped for like 20%, and now that f***er's up like 50.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
I'm just making this voice memo to call out unusual whales to a fight. The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Pennies.
Going in raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity Dips,
and Hugh Honey.
Produced by Vinny.
And Christian.
Let's go, baby.
Well, today we have on Jason Tartick, and I'm happy to have you on. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun getting to watch you guys, and also know Mr. Hugh Henny Mitch over there from coming on my podcast. So full circle moment here, boys.
Yeah, no, it's always great, like promoting podcasts, like going on each other's. I think that's one of the best ways to really like help each other grow, like when it comes to podcasts.
Yeah, man. I think like almost in anything in life, especially podcasts too, like if you're collaborating with people, and especially people that have different stories than you with different demographics, it pays huge dividends. Like Mitch, I still have people that reference your podcast all the time. And when I meet people and they're like, what's your podcast? And I reference some of my favorites, like yours comes up. And it's the best way to get discovery is the word. It's the name of the game podcast. If you have good content and good people, you just have to get discovered.
Yeah. It's funny because we did that almost, really, it's coming up on like 8 months ago. And I just had someone DM me yesterday about it. Like, hey, like I found you through Trading Secrets podcast with Jason. And like we started a whole conversation about it. And it's so cool, because your podcast has on so many different guests from all types of areas. And then, of course, our podcast is dedicated towards pretty much trading and finance and stuff like that. So it's really, I think it's so cool. And I was never really into podcasts like probably 2 years ago. And now it's like really primarily all I listen to instead of music.
It's like the best way to multitask, right? Like suppose you're working out, you're doing anything and you could like educate yourself on a topic you otherwise wouldn't know. It's huge. And Mitch, I don't know if those people, something tells me that you got a lot of DMs for 2 reasons. 1, because they're interested in day trading, and 2, because they find this good-looking young kid who's successful and they all want to date you now.
I saw you said your demographic was 90% female, which is dead the opposite of ours.
So a perfect collaboration. Perfect.
The amount of I'll say like stay-at-home moms that are looking for a hobby after our podcast. The amount of followers that I got from stay-at-home moms, like I said, trying to get into trading and like, hey, like I have a few spare hours here and there. Definitely probably 5x after that episode.
I love it. That's great.
So to kind of get into, I guess, your story, you kind of went from a long tenure in corporate banking to obviously the next step, the clear next step, which is reality TV. I guess we can kind of go from how you went from that to this financial literacy and just going about teaching all these other people about, finance and everything, especially in a time where it seems like everyone's wanting to know about it.
Yeah. I mean, so, I could take up the whole podcast telling the story. So I'm going to try and summarize it pretty effectively. But I think in life, you have a couple choices, and either your story is written for you or you write your own story. And what I could say like very confidently is for 29 years, there is no doubt that almost every aspect of my life, my story was being written for me. And you might say, like, what was it being written by? What guided that? And to me, what I call it's like the blueprint we're born into, right? So it's the way that our parents kind of parent us, and the way that the neighborhood we grow up in defines success, and the places that we see and what we know as success. And for me, that was go get your degree, go be a corporate soldier, say yes, do what you got to do, put your hours in, get promoted. They tell you to move, go move, wear what they want you to wear, dress how they want you to dress, right? And so that's what I did. And I got my MBA, corporate banker. I moved, I don't know, man, it was like 5 times. My biggest move was from New York to Seattle. At 29, I got all the things I thought I wanted, like the VP title, the 6-figure signing bonus, thought I was the man, but realized like I was just an empty, hollow suit. And I had let everyone write my story, and I had nothing to show for it. Like emotionally, I wasn't happy. I'd really kind of lost who I was. I now live 3,000 miles away from what really matters in life, friends, family, and the important things. And I just was lost. And I got approached of all times when I'm at rock bottom to go on a reality TV show. Some of you guys out there listening might have heard of it, The Bachelor. And everyone in my circle was like, dude, no. Like, you got to rock it on your fucking
You had
wall.
it all figured out, man.
No, why? This is what everyone does. They fall off the deep end. They go on the Bachelor. I'm like, man, I have done so much for everyone else. I want to do this. I'm doing it. And long story short, going on that show changed my life in every way, right? It changed where I live. It changed now who I'm engaged to. It changed what I do professionally. And from that, I was able to build a social media platform, about 1.3 million. And we do with this platform, I've started and invested in a lot of businesses. And one of them, to your point, is the financial literacy and career coaching platform called Restart.
Yeah, and just so that everyone understands, it's not like Jason just kind of, doesn't make the 6-figure salary. I think it was 2 episodes ago that you talked about your numbers for this year and stuff like that. I think it was it 2 episodes ago on your podcast?
Yeah. So, a lot of people say, like, go write your own story, but you might pay severe consequences financially. And for me, it really worked out that I took my own path to entrepreneurship and some of the stuff I'm doing. And yeah, last year was just with the kind of just off my social media, grossed in the 7 figures just off sponsorship through social media. So that's just one of the many things. And it's been exciting, man. It's been fun.
Damn, dude, being a hot dude on Instagram just solves all your problems, huh, man?
I don't know about that. You ever go look at the Bachelor franchise? I am like bottom of the barrel as far as looks go. There are some good looking dudes out there.
Dude, you wouldn't survive a day on Bachelor in Paradise, man.
I almost went, man. I had the contract. I signed the contract. My boss at the time, because I went back to work after my first stint, my boss was like, listen, we let you go the first time, you go this time, you're done. And I was like terrified of that. And I'm like, you know what? I did one show. I got good at it. I think I'm done here.
You had a good run. But so obviously, since we mainly talk about day trading and stuff, and I actually listened to your podcast with Jordan Belfort, and I thought it was super interesting how you're saying, I'm so busy all the time. Like, there's no way I can spend all day at the computer keeping up with all what the market does. So, I mean, what I can do is I can be a swing trader and, or just a long-term kind of investor kind of guy. And so your solution to that was hiring a day trader. And I think is just something since we don't really, I guess we do it all ourselves. I mean, it's such a wild concept. Can you kind of like take us the step by step of doing that?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, in anything, if you commit to it, I think one thing I tried to do is early on in life, especially really in the last couple of years of entrepreneurship, is I can do everything. I can do everything. And what happens is you spread yourself so thin that nothing is getting done to its max potential. And so I think day trading is one of those positions. People think it sounds cool, which it does. They believe it's sexy, which it is. But holy hell, there is so much grind, grit, and work that goes behind it. And I don't have it. To me, if I play, I'm going to play to win, and I'm going to go all in. And I just don't have the time and bandwidth, given some of the business I have, to go all in with day trading. So what I did was, for my financial literacy, I was like, what can I offer as currency these days that people really want? and it's promotion. I got, again, 1.3 million followers. I'll promote the hell out of you, and we can also compensate you accordingly. And we brought on a day trader to our financial literacy group, who all the members are given his reads of the day, what he's seeing, how he's seeing it, what his plays are, his trades, his successes, his wins. And so outsource is such a huge word today. Like if you're doing 100 things and you want to be good at it and you really want to achieve and make an impact, you have to be willing to outsource where you can't fill in the gaps. And day trading is one of those areas I have to outsource, because swing trading at best is what I have time for.
Hey, Dan, I think our applications got lost in the mail or something. I never heard back.
I thought, no, see, here's the deal. You guys, I feel like the price tag might be a little out of my, I see you guys, you got your fucking $50,000, $100,000 Rolexes, your private jets. I don't know if I can afford you boys.
Listen, this this week I was putting in
Zach
applications
pays for
at
most
Trader
of this.
Joe's.
But I'll tell you this, I would, if you were putting it out right here, I would love to do something. I think we could do something fun where I come to New York, Mitch, I'll bring out $100,000, and like we do a little series for like 14 days. You show me what the plays we make, how we make it. We do some education component, then we could vlog it, put it out there. People could learn from it. There's something we could do here.
I think that's something that we've been mulling around too. So that those synergies would be aligned if those synergies would be aligned, I think.
Let's make it happen. This is a kind of a cool one. I just had a meeting. This is one of the cool things about the world that I live in, is that you get these random meetings that come up. This kid started trading, obviously the volatility of Bitcoin is out of control. So he focuses on one coin and only one coin, and it's Bitcoin. And he has been trading it since 2017. And he's been day trading it. And now he's built a team. He's got engineers and analysts. And so they're pretty much just a Bitcoin fund that is day trading one of the most volatile asset classes out there. And he has now Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, investing in his fund. And it's just a little shop. So, I mean, you think about anyone out there that is day trading, like if you have a specific niche and a skill set and you have the right connections for people like me that want to outsource Bitcoin day trading, because I don't have the time to do it, there's a huge market for it,
Yeah, and I mean, I know from my perspective, and Dan, of course, we do have this like supplemental income from the podcast. It's not tons, but it gets the job done. But for a lot of traders, it's just what you make trading. So like this week, I've basically been red, and so my net worth, it takes a little bit of a swing down. But the one thing about a fund is that you usually take commissions. You usually take like what's called the 2 and 20 for most people that don't know. So you take 2% of whatever the AUM is, and then 20% of whatever the fund makes for that year. And that's a really nice way. One, because your net worth doesn't take a swing every week, and two, you have that income that is actually coming in every year, guaranteed. So that even if the fund loses that year, which obviously you would never want, you still get that income coming in, which is a really cool thing. And I mean, there's rumors about Ryan Cohen, what some of his fees were. Some people say that his fees were closer to like 10 and 50, which is wild. But I mean, hey, if people are willing to pay it, then why not? So it's something. It's really interesting.
Well, and I'm always interested in like someone like that is going to manage the fund, who's an LP in the fund. They have their skin in the game. So not only are they making money off the fees, which better be priced accurately, but their overall net worth and performance is severely impacted by their success. So that's a big one for me. But Mitch, I don't know if you've started a fund. I don't know if you two have done that. I think you guys should.
Yeah, I took on investors for about 5 months, and I understood why hedge funds hired PR teams, and why people don't have my exact number, especially because of the way that I trade. But it's definitely something that we've talked about for sure. And to your point about the LPs, it's something that we talked about 3 podcasts ago. Was, do we think that Kathy would change the way that she invests and the way that her portfolio is managed if she had a bigger stake in it? Because everybody remembers how last year it was this big issue about how she wanted to, kind of break off a little bit and some things like that. And so would it change, and would she not have the title of like meme fund manager, and would it be a little bit different? I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think it would change significantly. And at that point, if you're trying to make, so many people lead with ego based on what they're doing to make a splash that people talk about, and you look at the return she had, in the last couple of years, you're not making the headlines and gaining the press that she's gaining unless you're making like extremely, extremely concentrated plays, right? And do you do that if you have stake in the game? I don't know, but what's the risk if you don't? It's another fund that goes belly up. Okay, add it to the list of the tens of thousands that have done that before. But if you make it big, you have a few years that she did. Dude, look at the value of her brand. We all know who she is. Anyone in finance knows who she is. Clearly, she's doing something right when it comes to marketing and PR.
So I guess the answer is Kathy would or Kathy wouldn't, but so I guess going back into like your trading strategy, obviously you have your expert day trader, but you as your swing trading and investing, what do you kind of look for in companies, whether it be a kind of mid-term and swing or maybe even a long-term? Because I saw you were investing in a few apps and other companies such as so what do you kind of look for in those two separately?
Yeah, so if it's like seed money or it's like startup money, the number one thing I'm doing is I'm looking inside and out of the management team. Like I want to know everything about them, how they operate, how they spend, how they think, how they manage their personal life, how many hours are they working. I've told this story before, but it was a bit stalkerish. I was at one of the gyms that one of the guys I was considering investing in, and we both walked in the gym. Oh, good to see you, small talk, whatever. And I meticulously waited to see when he got into his car because I wanted to see what car he was driving as he was just starting this car, just to give me an idea of the way this guy spends and what his expectation is like in a startup. So, though management's huge, product differentiation's huge. The big thing I've seen is companies can make it. They can have unbelievable growth from a gross revenue and net profit standpoint. They can cash flow, but if they don't have a plan to scale, or at least the right people in place to scale, if they can't do it, that is absolutely massive. And at the end of the day, is like I don't know. You call me risk averse. I'm not taking shots at these tech startups that won't see any type of cash flow in 10 years. I want to see cash flow. I'm like I was a lender, right? I used to lend hundreds of millions of dollars. So I want to look at the old school banking strategy, like AR concentration, cash flow. How are you managing your vendors, things like that.
Okay, so basically the same as you. You want money on hand. You want them to have money coming in. You don't want this just random promises. You wouldn't have been investing in Amazon whenever Jeff Bezos was like, hey, chill. So what? We're not making anything right now, but maybe.
I mean, I got to be honest. I wouldn't. I think it's as a reflection of like my risk tolerance and just the fact that I want, think about how many VCs out there are, you hit 1 out of your 50 investments and that's like a home run. It's just so many of these companies go belly up. So many losses are incurred and no one fucking talks about their losses. They only talk about their wins. So you get early investors that are coming to the table thinking they're going to hit the next Amazon, the next Facebook without doing their due diligence. And it could just get ugly quick. So, for me, I'd rather make less investments in the ones that I really like than bankroll appropriately and make more investments and try and find a grand slam.
Yeah, I think good.
No, I was just gonna say that's I missed the SPAC run last year because I was like, this makes no sense. Like these companies just have a blank check, which great, like that's what they should be worth. But just because someone like Chamath puts his name behind it doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna take over Geico or they're gonna take over any of the big healthcare names, stuff like that. And because at the end of the day, if you have no revenue to show for it, then you're just gonna be burning cash, and that's what most of these tech companies are. But I will say this: if anyone listening ever gets another Uber IPO it feels like everybody and their mother got into Uber pre-IPO and made a fuck ton. So if that ever comes
except
along
Gary V,
again,
he won't shut up about it, man.
I'm there though. That's one that I'm there for.
I love. That's a good one. And I had Mark Lowry on. He owns the Minnesota Timberwolves. Billionaire who used to be the CEO of Walmart. And I kind of asked him a similar question about his investment strategy. And he's like, listen, you're only getting my money if I know everything about the industry and company, or I'm involved and I'm operating it. And it's wild to hear a guy like that. You know, the guy he's one of 3,500 billionaires in the world, and he's like, crypto, not touching it. Why not? I don't know anything about it. I'll never get my head around it. There's people that will know it well. I'll just continue to do what I do best. And if I do what I do best and what I know best, I'll just keep making money. I don't need to make money everywhere. I'll make money where I know how to make money.
Yeah, if I don't know who this Satoshi guy is. I'm not buying a Bitcoin. No, but
doing something right.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how you said like all these people getting burned on these stocks and you know people with companies that don't have any money coming in, people thinking they're going to strike big. With like, what are your thoughts on all these new retail traders coming in the past year and a half, 2 years?
First of all, I think it's great. I think it's amazing. I think even if you're struggling with your trading, or you're struggling making money in this space, the fact you're in this space and you want to learn and you're connecting with those who might know it better than you is amazing, because overall that's going to increase financial literacy in this country. And I think the one thing we've seen consistently is that Americans suck at managing their finances, making money. The majority of us are really, really bad. So the more people that are getting involved, amazing. I love the fact that Reddit blew up the way it did. Discord's blown up the way it is, that you can get a group of retail investors and you can compete with some of the largest institutions. And you saw it, right? I mean, you saw the short squeeze with GameStop and everything else. And to me, I think it's amazing. I think we embrace the change. The one thing I'll say is like the horror stories, obviously you see success stories, but some of these horror stories, these people that have put in every single penny, you know, following one person, not doing any due diligence and literally not having a dollar to their name anymore is terrifying. And so everyone that gets into any form of trading or investing got to know the consequences and risk tolerance. Think about like poker players, right? Bankroll management. They'll never sit at a game in which 1% or more, or 1 to 2% of their entire bankroll is on the table. Because if it's not, they can't play emotionally correct. And so the people that are putting 50 to 100%, 75% of their net worth in one trade, in one action, when they literally haven't taken a financial 101 in high school or college, is a little terrifying. But I like the idea of the whole retail movement. The more people playing, the more people that can make a difference in their lives, I think.
So just to follow up what you were just talking about, I had a DM at 10:41 this morning that says, I managed to make $1.3 million with only a $2,000 cash account last year, not even on margin. The worst part is that I managed to blow it all.
Fuck.
This is this morning, 10:41.
No.
This is 10:41 this morning. And this is like, we probably get 1 or 2 or 3 of these a day now because of the market that we're in. And I mean, obviously it's pure trading, you know, with equities, but I mean, this is something that like is real. And SPY's, the market's only a few percentage points off all-time highs. But if you take the NAS, I mean, I think it's 50% of the stocks in the NAS are down 40% or more inside the past 3 months. So it's like this is like the reality right now, and the huge disconnect. And I mean, it sucks. It sucks.
And you think, I remember, you know, Mitch, we talked about, at least in the recap, or maybe on when you were a guest, the percentage of day traders that have a longevity within the space of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year plus. And the percentage of day traders that make it 5 year plus is, you're talking a very minimal percent, like 2 to 7%. And someone check me on that, because I'm not fully prepared, but it's very low. And the point of that is are you doing the same strategy consistently day in, day out, you know, to make it 1,500 days and do it effectively? And the answer to most people that are day trading, I think, not most, or I don't know, I think the answer is no. I don't think it's being done properly.
Yeah, I mean, even when you see all those people like on the Wall Street bets and everything, where they were making like 800,000 off of options, and then just all in till it's gone, even though they were up thousands and thousands of percent. You know, looking at it from, you know, a bird's eye view, you're like, oh, why wouldn't you just take, you know, if I was there, I would take out half. But then you're in those shoes and you're like, I mean, why would I take out half, dude? Then I'd be able to make half as much money. I'm going to keep going, you know?
Yeah, but I know. And listen to what you said, thousands of percent, right? I mean, you have literally some of the biggest and best hedge funds in the world with the most educated humans that have been doing this for 30, 40 years. And they're simply just trying to
And they're getting beat by nerds with iPhones.
Yeah, but they're like these huge funds. They're just trying to, let's make 20, 40% max. Thousands of percent people are getting on return. Like that's not going to be sustainable. You got to be smart about what you're doing.
No, I think one of the coolest things you said about day trading when on another podcast, you said it's like when you're mad at your girlfriend, you're like, don't text her, don't text her, don't text her. And you still end up texting her. It's the same with controlling your emotions and day trading. But now instead of dealing with some chick you've known for 4 months, you're dealing with money. Arguably way more important. I don't know why my bachelor application won't get accepted. But no, I think that's such a good thing. It's like, because controlling your emotions, I mean, we talk about it all the time, and there's so many good things like, hey, if it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to sell. Like the backside of the trade comes so much faster, and it's just like, at least take off the cost basis.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's one of the things. It's just like, I don't know why is it so hard for people to control their, and I mean, even for us, like, why is it such a difficult thing, especially in trading?
It's ego. I think like it's in anything, right? You like, it's the same thing. Like you talk about The Bachelor, right? Imagine you get in your little world, you're like the cool guy or the good looking guy or the most athletic. And then you get into this mansion and then there's 30 guys and the average height's 6'5", and they all played a pro sport. And one of the fucking guys actually was the number like 4 employee of Venmo. So there's just like all this alpha. But here's what happened. Here's the learning lesson that can correlate to day trading or anything. What happens is the competition starts and then there's these 30 guys and one girl, and everyone just gets so focused on themselves and their egos and trying to win and trying to alpha everyone that they lose focus of why they're there. And what happens is it's unbelievable self-destruction. Before they know it, 3 guys are there fighting at one another in front of a camera, forgetting about 5 million people are watching. And so if you can't understand and bring yourself back to why you're there, what you're doing, and that you like controlling your freaking ego, which can be the most dangerous thing in all areas of your life, it can get really ugly really quick, and the repercussions are material.
Were you trading at all on The Bachelor, man?
Am I trading?
Let's say you're on The Bachelor, you see, oh shit, that's a fire dip, man. You adding?
Dude, well, here's the issue. No phones. 0 phones.
Oh boy.
So no trading, no sports betting. March Madness was on. We couldn't even get the scores of like who was, we knew unless there was like a massive event in the world, we couldn't know what was going on.
Like, by the way, there's a pandemic going on. Y'all just stay inside. Like
your portfolio is shot, 70%. Hope you're enjoying this TV show.
So moving on to like, I know we mentioned, I think I mentioned Gary Vee earlier. So going back into like Bitcoin and crypto and like NFTs, the new thing. I mean, you're seeing everyone pumping shit coins. Every influencer's got one. Now every influencer's got an NFT. Like, where does all this like collide? How do you see the average investor ending up in these? Because I think so many of them are going to get burned on just random like Logan Paul NFTs or whatever the case may be. And then it's also like they're attached to crypto as well. I mean, you're paying for them in crypto. So what are your kind of thoughts on that whole like new movement in basically the blockchain's evolution the past year and a half?
For sure. So, I mean, there's so many ways to take this conversation, but the first thing that comes to mind is an NFT project an NFT project that I got involved in. And so the capacity that I got involved in was strictly marketing. And this was my really first exposure with NFTs. And I quickly learned that the creator of any NFT project and the credibility of that creator is so critically important for the project as a whole. Because if you look at what every NFT project is trying to do when they sit behind, on the board and they're putting their business plan together, they're trying to create differentiating art. They're trying to create massive buzz, and they need these to sell out instantly, right? They want to get paid right away. And so whatever they can possibly do to achieve that, they're going to do. They're going to get the influencers, they're going to get the celebrities, they're going to get the right people, and they're going to find a way to do it. They're going to go into their budgets and they're going to create a budget line to make sure that the floor price is as high as they want it to be. And if it's not, they're going to buy it up. So I think when I got to see the ownership side of the NFT world, I quickly learned that this is a wild business. And I know people know the game well, but I think being able to use information as a predicator of how you're going to achieve sustainable success is extremely low. And those who win big are going to win big because they're positioned the right way with ownership, or they're going to win big because they've had short-term quick success, which might be a result of luck and or right timing. But I think sustainability in that space, the NFT space, as an investor, strictly as an investor, is going to be interesting in general to see. So, I think as far as like cryptocurrency goes right now, there's so many bullshit shit coins out there. You're right. A lot of people are pumping and dumping those coins and they're making a lot of money. But if you look at there's easy ways to analyze significant material altcoins that have a strong basis in differentiating group, system, ownership, and the Bitcoins and Ethereum and the Solanas of the world. They're just not going anywhere. It's just not going anywhere. It has all the infrastructure to be sustainable, and simply more demand and support probably across world leadership, and it's just going to continue to move in the direction it's going to move in. That's my take on crypto and some NFT projects I've been a part of.
Yeah, no, I'm just super shocked that my Squid Games investment, Squid Games coin, didn't go super well.
Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, I mean, it was on the up and up, man. I was gonna start using that at like Walmart. What is like kind of the riskiest, like new kind of buzzword thing that you are most excited about in the investing space?
Well, that's a great question. What am I most excited about right now?
While you're thinking about it, while I went on Jason's podcast, we started to learn about at that time we both were learning about what different trading lingo was. I think it was like it wasn't YOLO, like we're not that old, but I think we were talking about like what bread was and intendies. So this is kind of really full circle.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just you bring in a whole, different subgroup of the internet. I mean, it's like 4chan and Reddit on this side, then the rest of the social medias over here, and you get them involved, and suddenly we're speaking different languages about something as old and boring as the stock market, where it used to be, two birds in the bush is better than one in the hand. Okay, Warren Buffett, we don't want two birds. We want 50 birds, and we want them now, Yeah,
for sure. I think that's so well said. It was literally, we were putting like a glossary together of what specific words were and what people thought they meant versus what they actually did mean. You got to love when the worlds collide like that. I think one thing that I will find, just an area that I'm looking at as far as an investor and where the market's going is being an employee at the bank and also working at strategy, like with top executives. There still are just so many material inefficiencies with the way United States as a whole operates in the way we function with the masses with banks. Like the fact that we're storing all of our cash in these massive banks, yet getting a hold of it is a huge issue. If I want to go withdraw $10,000, there's going to be a report filed on me for potential money laundering. The fact that if I want a home equity loan, the whole process and the fees and everything that I have to go through is just absolutely bizarre to me. And it's all stemmed from Fed decisions, run down through corporations, and it just creates so much limitations for the actual end user. And companies that I'm starting to look to invest in are companies that are finding ways to utilize decentralization for the purposes of payment and also like utilizing banking channels. So if I could imagine if you could take a home equity out through the blockchain and someone will have ownership of my house. So they'll have like 2% ownership of my house. So now I've completely eliminated the bank. I'm getting a cash source from the blockchain. And the second this house sells instantaneously, because of smart contracts, 2% is then immediately wired to that person. So I think that the user base is going to find ways to outthink what central banks look like today. And wherever I can get my money as far as payments and lending goes in that space are places I would deploy it.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of how someone I saw someone explain NFTs to someone else. They're like, why can't I just screenshot it? And they're like, okay, you could take a picture of my house, but you don't own my house. But I guess if it's on the blockchain, you would. Yeah.
Right.
So I guess moving on to some podcast things, because we're big podcast guys. You're a big podcast guy. I think you committed to the pod way harder than maybe anyone. You got proposed on your podcast. I haven't done anything close to that. I've asked for a wedding invitation at best. However, could you kind of like walk us through like how that became a thing? Because it's like now it's like, you know, maybe I'm looking for love, and if I want to get married, is Penny's Going in Raw like the place to do it? Or would that be like stealing your flow too much?
Hell yeah. DraftKings, Trojan, our main sponsors. Dan is committing to that.
Like, hey, we could put like a line on if the wedding happens, if she says yes. DraftKings.
I love this. That's amazing. You guys should do all of that, by the way. And if you're going to do it on the pod, and there you go. You'll get your downloads. No, but I think a little quick correction. I didn't propose on my podcast. I actually proposed on Caitlin's podcast.
Okay.
So the whole thing behind that was I got off the show, went back to banking. They're deciding who the next bachelor is going to be. They're saying it's between me and this guy named Colton, and they go with Colton. And so immediately after that, Caitlin was actually in Seattle for her podcast, and she had me on as a guest. So the cool thing is that we met on her podcast. We have the audio of the first moments we've ever met. And so when I proposed, it was the same thought process. All my buddies are like, yeah, every time I propose, I black out. I don't remember what happened. We don't have pictures. I'm like, how cool would it be if she had no idea that I was going to propose? I'm one of her guests, and then I propose, and boom, as long as we live, our great grandkids, they'll have the audio and they can see it. So I gave her the option, though. I was like, listen, after, right? The podcast is done. We have her. I'm like, you don't have to release it. You do whatever you want. But she's like, could you imagine the downloads if I released that? I got to release that. And, there was like, I would imagine there was 1 million plus downloads.
The queen of content.
Yeah,
dude.
I would imagine. That podcast has been, a big part of our life. It's where we met, we got proposed. And then my podcast, we've had some fun things happen too. But yeah, man, I think you should do that. Get a running tally. Maybe create a little mini bachelor on your podcast. Do a little dating game. Do it all.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy how many girls would be willing to date you whenever you have a mansion, a camera crew, and a host just talking it through, you know?
You saying they wouldn't come on and do a dating show with you? Come on.
Yeah, dude, hey, I'm in a high rise, so they'll come. So were you bummed when you weren't the Bachelor?
Anybody that would say no to that would be
your main character on a reality TV show.
Your main character getting paid big. You get
to
off
date 30 chicks.
Yeah, and you're gonna make so much. Yeah, you get to date all these beautiful women that are nice and cool, and you get to hopefully end up with like a life partner, and then you get amazing opportunity after. Anybody that becomes the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, the way I summarize it is it's a golden parachute. Like it's a golden parachute, and you are going to, unless you really fall on your face, you're going to, it's a life-changing event. So yeah, that would have been nice, but it all worked out perfect, honestly.
I need about another 8 inches taller and maybe like a little bit more chiseled line. I'm ready for that parachute any day now. These bags underneath their eyes don't come because I'm up playing video games. So I wouldn't mind a little golden parachute.
Nah, dude. And you think like the money will help, but I actually watched whenever they were like, oh, do I do an app startup? And I Googled, I'm like, oh, he's like started Venmo. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, you'd be a fool not to go with him, right? Like
everybody's in the NFL. They don't even necessarily play any games, but.
Yeah, dude. Hey, man, I'm banned from Venmo, so I'm more of a Cash App guy. So I guess we can kind of wrap things up with you have a book coming out.
Yeah, man. So I have a book coming out. It's called The Restart Roadmap. And so the idea, and there's probably a lot of listeners there that are just completely completely or somewhat, like lost within their professional track. And I think it's just like in my thesis is that the system that we currently live in sets us up to be lost, right? We talk about this a lot, but you go to school, you're told you got to go to school. You can't get a job unless you go to school. You get yourself buried in debt. You have a W-2 income coming in. You need that cash flow to pay for the, trillions, $1.7 trillion of student debt out there in the United States. And you become lost and you become stuck. So if you're out there at all and you're feeling any bit of like maybe shame for where you've gotten so far, you're looking for any type of escape, the Restart Roadmap book gives you 8 steps of how to change your career, yourself, and get everything you ever wanted. I've done a ton of research on people that have achieved outlying success, and every single one of them had restarts, had detours, and used change to reinvent, rethink, rewire in the way they approach their career. And so we talk about those examples. We talk about examples that I learned from being in some of the offices, the most powerful executives on Wall Street. And I talked about some of the lessons learned behind the scenes of reality TV and media. And from literally like Hollywood to Main Street, there's so many takeaways that individuals can apply to their life as it relates to branding, first impressions, not making networking work, and really just accelerating the path and writing the story that they want to write as opposed to the one that's written for them. So it's called the Restart Roadmap. Pre-sale right now. It is on Amazon, and it will be out on shelves in Target, Barnes and Noble, and the like on April 5th.
Hell yeah, April. I'm going to read it, and then everyone inside my DMs that said they made $1 million and lost it. I'm going to
have to learn how to read first, but
Mitch is going to go, you might need a restart. Here's a link.
If there's an Audible version, Hugh's definitely gonna tune in. No, for sure.
The audio.
If anyone is listening to us for advice and stuff, they probably do need a financial restart anyway. So it's probably a good book for them. Is there anything else you want to plug the podcast? Let them know where to find you, and
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. The handle is Jason_Tartick. I talked about Restart a little bit here. That platform is Restart_Reset. And there we have a podcast too called Trading Secrets, where we talk about the money and career paths of everyone and anyone, from Mitch to WWE superstars, Gary Vee, the Sharks of Shark Tank. But the big thing is we talk dollars. Like, where'd you make your money? How much exactly did you make? Where'd you lose your money? How much exactly did you lose? And it's meant to kind of open up the book so that you can learn from people's successes and mistakes.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I had a lot of fun, and I think this is super informative. And I feel like we covered basically all the hot topics of trading. So I think we covered a lot.
I love it. Well, boys, thanks for having me. Keep in touch. And Mitch, let's talk about that $100,000 7-day vlog. What do you think?
I love it. Let's do it, bro.
Yeah, dude. 7 days later, you're going to have like 41,000. Like, oh, shit. So next time.
Hey,
like, well, I made 40.
It'll make for a good vlog. We'll break some shit and go out.
Make for a good write-off. All right, guys. Thanks again, and y'all have a good rest of your day.
Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.